Imagine this. You walk into your parents' living room on a quiet Sunday afternoon, thinking it's just another family dinner. The air smells like your mom's famous roast chicken. Everyone is already there. Your mom, your dad, your older sister Jessica, your younger brother Tyler, even your Aunt Linda who lives 2 states away. They're all sitting in a perfect circle. No one is smiling. My mom's eyes are red. My dad won't look at me. Jessica is holding a stack of papers like she keeps tapping against her knee. And right there, in the middle of the coffee table, is a single envelope with my name on it. I laughed at first. I actually laughed. What is this? An early birthday card from everyone. That's when Jessica stood up and said the words I will never forget for the rest of my life. Ethan, we're holding an intervention. We've decided as a family that we're done with you. My heart stopped. Done with me? I looked around the room waiting for someone, anyone, to crack a smile and say it was a prank. But no one did. My own mother was crying into a tissue, and my father finally looked up at me with eyes full of disappointment, anger. I couldn't tell. Jessica kept going, cold as ice. You've been a parasite on this family for too long. You dropped out of college. You have no real job. You live off mom and dad, and you show zero gratitude. We're cutting you off today. No more money. No more coming home. You're not welcome here anymore. I felt the floor disappear under me. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. All I could do was stare at the people who raised me, the same people who once cheered at my soccer games, who cried at my high school graduation, and wonder how we got here. Little did they know I wasn't the failure they thought I was, not even close. And in the next few hours, their entire world was about to flip upside down. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to how it all started. Because this story didn't begin that Sunday. It began 6 years earlier, the day I made a decision that my family called the biggest mistake of my life. 6 years ago, I was 21, a junior in college studying finance, getting straight A's, on track to graduate with honors. Everyone was proud. My dad kept bragging to his son was going to be the first in the family to work on Wall Street. Then one night, I couldn't sleep. I was scrolling on my phone and stumbled across a video of a guy in his 20s who had built an online dropshipping business to 7 figures while still in college. Something inside me lit up. I stayed up until 6 a.m. researching. 2 weeks later, I made the call that changed everything. I told my parents I was dropping out to start my own company. You would have thought I said I was joining a cult. My mom cried for days. My dad screamed that I was throwing my life away. Jessica called me selfish. Tyler, who was still in high school, just looked at me like I'd lost my mind. They gave me an ultimatum: stay in school and keep the family proud, or leave and never ask for help again. I chose to leave. I moved into a tiny studio apartment with 2 roommates I found on Craigslist. I had $7,000 saved from summer jobs. That was it. For the next 2 years, my family barely spoke to me. Christmas was awkward. Birthdays were ignored. Every time I tried to tell them about the little wins, my first $1,000 day, my first $10,000 month, they rolled their eyes and changed the subject. They were waiting for me to fail, waiting for the I told you so moment when I come crawling back begging for help. But I didn't fail. I worked 16-hour days. I learned Facebook ads, SEO, copyright, and logistics. Everything. I lost friends. I barely slept. There were months I ate nothing but instant noodles just to keep the ad budget alive. And slowly the business grew. First to 5 figures a month, then 6, then something they could never have imagined. But I kept it quiet. I didn't flaunt it. I drove the same beat-up Honda, wore the same hoodies. I still answered, I'm working on some online stuff, when they asked what I did, because deep down I think I was waiting for the day they would finally see me. I just didn't know that when that day came, it would be in the worst way possible. While I was grinding in silence, my family built a whole story in their heads about who I was. Jessica, the golden child with her corporate job and perfect husband, loved telling people her brother was a college dropout, living in his parents' basement, even though I hadn't lived at home in years. My mom would sigh to her friends. We tried everything with Ethan, but he just doesn't want to work. Dad told his golf buddies I was finding myself with air quotes. They turned me into the cautionary tale, the family shame, and the money they thought I was secretly asking Mom for cash every month. Truth is, 2 years earlier I had paid off their remaining mortgage as an anonymous gift through the bank. Mom cried when the letter came saying the house was theirs free and clear, but she never knew it was me. I didn't want gratitude. I just wanted them to stop hurting. But the longer I stayed quiet, the worse the story got. Then came the final straw for them. My grandmother, Dad's mom, passed away and left a small inheritance, about $180,000, to be split between Dad and Aunt Linda. Dad decided to give each of us kids $20,000 to get our lives started. Jessica took it and put down payment on a bigger house. Tyler used it for college. I politely declined. I told them to keep it or donate it. That was the moment they decided I was beyond saving. If I was too proud to accept help, then I clearly didn't need family anymore. So when Jessica suggested the intervention 6 months later, everyone agreed it was time to officially cut the dead. Wait, they planned it for weeks. They rehearsed what they would say. They even printed out a letter signed by every single one of them listing my failures. And that brings us back to that Sunday afternoon when I walked straight into the trap they had so carefully set. I stood there in the living room, the envelope still unopened in my hand. Jessica spoke first, reading from her notes, like she was giving a work presentation. Ethan, we love you, but love means being honest. You are 27 years old with no degree, no career, no savings, and no future. You have taken advantage of Mom and Dad's kindness for too long. We can't watch you destroy your life anymore. So today we are drawing the line. My mom was sobbing quietly. Dad stared at the floor. Aunt Linda kept nodding like this was the bravest thing anyone had ever done. Jessica handed me the letter. Inside were 3 pages, single-spaced, detailing every disappointment I had apparently caused since the day I dropped out. They ended it with, "We hope one day you choose to get help and turn your life around. But until then, you are no longer part of this family. Please leave and do not contact us again." I felt like I was in a nightmare. My voice cracked when I finally spoke. "So that's it? After 27 years, I'm just out?" Jessica shrugged. "You did this to yourself." Tyler, my little brother, who used to follow me everywhere when we were kids, wouldn't even look at me. I turned to my mom. "Mom, you're okay with this?" She whispered through tears. "It's for your own good, baby." Something inside me broke that day. Not because I needed their money. I hadn't taken a dime in years. But because the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally just threw me away like trash. I picked up the envelope, folded it once, and slipped it into my pocket. "You know what?" I said quietly. "You're right about one thing. I'm done asking for anything from any of you." I walked to the door. No one stopped me. No one said, "Wait." As my hand touched the doorknob, Jessica called out one last time. "Don't come crawling back when you're broke and sleeping on the street." I paused, turned around, and for the first time that day, I smiled. "Jess, don't worry. The only one who's going to be crawling is all of you." Then I walked out, and I didn't look back. The reveal begins. The second I shut that front door, the tears came. Not because I was sad. No, I was furious. I sat in my car and just shook. How could they do this to me? How could they be so blind? Then I looked at the time. 4:17 p.m. In exactly 43 minutes, a press release was scheduled to go out that would change everything. You see, 3 weeks earlier I had quietly sold 70% of my company to a private equity firm for $38 million. The deal closed the day before. My bank account had more money than my entire family tree combined would earn in 10 lifetimes. And the company? It wasn't some tiny Shopify store anymore. It was a full-blown brand. 8 figures a year in profit. 43 employees. Warehouses in 3 states. Celebrity endorsements. Features in Forbes, Entrepreneur, and Incorporated. My lawyer had begged me to tell my family. Before the news broke, I told him no. Let them find out with the rest of the world. I drove home, poured myself a drink, and waited. At 5 p.m. on the dot, the press release hit. Every major business outlet. Fast-growing e-commerce empire, Peak Pulse. Athletics acquired in $54 million deal. 27-year-old founder Ethan Carter. Retains 30% and stays on as CEO. My phone started exploding. Old college, friends, high school teachers, even people I hadn't spoken to in a decade. But not a single text from my family. Not one. They were too busy watching their perfect little plan fall apart in real time. By 7 p.m. that same night, Jessica was the first to call. I let it ring. She called again. Then Tyler. Then Mom, 17 missed calls. Finally, at 9:42 p.m., a text from Jessica. Ethan, please pick up. We need to talk. Something big just came out online, and we're worried about you. I almost laughed out loud. Worried about me? I didn't answer. The next morning, my phone was flooded with articles. My face was everywhere. Local news stations were calling it the dropout who built a $50 million empire in his bedroom. And then the family group chat. Yes, the same one they had removed me from months ago, somehow added me back. Dad, son calls immediately. Mom, baby, we are so proud and so sorry. Please come home, Jessica. There's been a huge misunderstanding. Let's talk. I stared at the messages for a long time. I'm sorry felt like poison. So I typed one single reply and left the chat. Forever. You drew the line. I'm just standing on the other side of it. Then I turned my phone off and went to the office. I had a company to run, but they weren't done trying. 2 days later, my parents showed up at my apartment unannounced. I opened the door and there they were, Mom, holding a Tupperware of cookies like that could fix everything. Dad looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. Mom rushed forward. Ethan, honey, we had no idea. We were trying to save you. Save me. I cut her off. You threw me away. Dad tried next. Son, we made a terrible mistake. Please, let us make it right. I stepped aside so they could see inside. The apartment wasn't the dingy studio they imagined. It was a $12,000 a month penthouse with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Their jaws actually dropped. Jessica arrived 10 minutes later, with Tyler in tow, both dressed like they were going to a funeral. Jessica's eyes were puffy. Ethan, I don't even know what to say. I feel sick. Good, I said. You should. Tyler whispered, You're rich? I didn't answer him. Mom fell to her knees, actually on the marble floor, sobbing. We're your family. Family forgives. That's when something snapped. I looked at all of them and spoke calmer than I felt. You didn't just hurt my feelings. You tried to destroy me when I was at my lowest. You celebrated the idea of me failing. And the second you thought I did, you held a family meeting to throw me out like garbage. That's not love. That's cruelty. Jessica tried one last card. If you can't forgive us, at least think about Mom. This is killing her. I looked at my mother crying on my floor. Part of me wanted to hug her. The other part remembered every time she called me a disappointment to her friends. I knelt down so we were eye to eye. Mom, I loved you even when you stopped believing in me. I paid off your house so you'd never worry again, and you never even knew. But yesterday you signed a letter saying I was dead to you. I'm not the one who killed this family. You are. She wailed louder. I stood up. It's time for you to leave. They begged. They promised. They cried. But I closed the door. And for the first time in years, I felt free. You might think the story ends there. A sad family, a rich son who walks away. But I wasn't done. Not because I'm cruel, because they needed to feel, even for a moment, what rock bottom really feels like. Remember Aunt Linda? The one who flew in, special for the intervention? Turns out she had been borrowing money from my parents for years. Tens of thousands to support her shopping addiction. Money my parents took from the mortgage I paid off. I quietly bought the debt from a bank. Every penny. 2 weeks after the intervention, Aunt Linda received a certified letter. Her loans had been sold to a new creditor, EC. Holdings, my company. Payment due in 30 days or foreclosure on her house. She called my parents screaming. They had no idea where to get $87,000. Jessica's perfect life? Her new house, the one she put my grandmother's inheritance toward, was in a neighborhood developed by a company I quietly invested in years ago. The HOA? Mine. I raise her fees. Then I fined her for the unapproved fence. Then for the dog. Then for the holiday lights. Within 4 months, she was drowning in penalties. Tyler? He was about to start his senior year. On a full scholarship I had helped fund anonymously through a donor program. One phone call and the donor pulled out. He lost the scholarship. Had to take part-time, jobs and loans. And Dad's golf club membership he loved so much, bought by a holding company I own. New owner canceled his membership for conduct violations after someone anonymously reported. Every move was legal. Every move was quiet. They never knew it was me, but they felt it. Money got tight. Arguments got loud. Jessica's marriage started cracking under the stress. They were tasting just a little what's scraping. The bottom feels like. 6 months later, I receive an email from my mother. No words, just a video attachment. I click play. It was all of them, Mom, Dad, Jessica, Tyler, even Aunt Linda, sitting in the same living room circle. But this time they looked broken. My mom spoke first, voice shaking. Ethan, we don't deserve your forgiveness. We were blind, arrogant, and cruel. We judged you when we should have trusted you. We tore you down when we should have lifted you up. And now we're paying the price for it every single day. We just want you to know we're sorry. And if you never speak to us again, we understand. We love you. Jessica was crying. I was jealous. I hated that you were brave enough to chase your dream, and I never was. I took it out. On you. I'm so sorry. Dad's voice cracked. You're the best thing I ever helped create, and I threw you away. I'm not asking to be your father. Again, I just want you to know I'm proud of you. Tyler whispered, I miss my big brother. The video ended. I watched it 5 times. I didn't cry, but my chest hurt in a way I can't describe. Reconciliation or final goodbye. I sat on that video for 3 weeks. Every day employees at the company would ask, how's your family? And I'd lie and say, fine. I didn't know what to do. Then one night, I got a call from the hospital. My dad had had a mild heart attack. Stress-related, the doctor said. When I walked into the room, the whole family was there. They froze when they saw me. Dad looked 20 years older. Tubes in his arm. Monitors beeping. He reached out a shaking hand. So, I took it. We didn't say much. Just sat there while he slept. Later that night, Mom found me in the hallway. He hasn't stopped talking about you since the video. He's scared you hate him forever. I looked at her. Do you know what the worst part was, Mom? It wasn't the money or the intervention. It was that you all decided who I was allowed to be, and when I proved you wrong, you couldn't handle it. She nodded, tears falling. We're right. We couldn't handle it, and we punished you for our own shame. Silence stretched between us. Then she said the words I never thought I'd. Here, you don't owe us anything, Ethan. But if you ever want to try again, we'll spend the rest of our lives earning it. Resolution and healing. It's been 2 years since that night in the hospital. I didn't forgive them overnight. Forgiveness isn't a light switch. But slowly, very slowly, we started talking. Coffee here, dinner there. No money changed hands. No big gifts. Just time. Jessica quit her corporate job and started her own small business. She texts me for advice now and actually listens. Tyler graduated debt-free because I quietly paid the rest of his tuition. He still doesn't know it was me. Dad sold the big house. They didn't need it anymore and moved into a smaller one closer to me. We play golf sometimes. He still cheats, but now we laugh about it. Mom comes over every Sunday and cooks. She cries sometimes when she thinks I'm not looking. I pretend I don't see. Aunt Linda sold her house, paid me back every cent, and now lives in a modest apartment. She sends me a Christmas card every year that just says, thank you. I never told them about the quiet revenge. Some stones are better left unturned. And me? The company is on track to do $100 million this year. I'm 29 years old, happier than I've ever been, and surrounded by a team that believes in me. But the real win? I learned that family isn't just the people who share your blood. It's the people who choose to stay when life gets hard and who fight to come back when they mess up. Moral close and final words. So here's what I want you to take from my story. Never let anyone, no matter how close, define your worth. Not your parents, not your siblings, not society. The people who love you will cheer for your wins, even when those wins make them feel small. The people who don't will try to tear you down to feel taller. And if they ever succeed in pushing you away, build your life so big, so beautiful, that one day they have no choice but to look up. I'm not saying hold on to anger forever. I let mine go, not for them, but for me. Because carrying hate is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. Today, my family is healing. It's imperfect. There are still scars. But we're trying. And every time my mom hugs me now, I feel the little boy inside me finally exhale. If you're out there grinding in silence, if your own people don't see your vision yet, keep going. One day the same mouse that doubted you will be speechless. And when that day comes, you get to choose. Walk away forever. Or open the door just a crack and see if they're ready to. Love the real you. The power is yours. Thank you for listening to my story. If it hit you in the chest, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Drop a comment with the word worth. And share this with someone who needs to hear they're enough. I'll see you in the next one.